Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing Day Shift, the new J.J. Perry, previously a stuntman, choreographer, uh, guy that has worked behind the scenes as a martial artist, action director. Kind of got an interesting comeuppance behind him, but this is his directorial debut. Um, Day Shift featuring Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, Natasha Leal Bizzaro, Megan Good, Carla Souza, Steve Howie, Scott Atkins, and a couple of cameo appearances. Oh, they're on the poster. Snoop Dogg. I didn't know if anybody had seen if it was advertised that Snoop Dogg was in this, but yeah, cinematography by Toby Oliver, the same cinematographer as pretty notable films as um, Get Out, Happy Death Day, Insidious: The Last Key, Happy Death Day to You. That was the sequel to that. Um, but he has some pretty interesting movies under his belt as well as television as well. Pretty notable cinematography. I like the look of this movie, so I want to kind of go off of the things that I like about this movie first. Um, for anyone that is curious about the behind the scenes of what this is really going on, let's continue on. Um, the synopsis. Where the hell's the synopsis on here? Anyways, I could probably give the synopsis off the top of my head. Essentially, uh, financially struggling Jamie Foxx plays um, Bud Jablonski, and Bud Jablonski is this is a synopsis. So he is a vampire hunter, and he basically is a little bit more nicer version, not so crooked version of Denzel in Training Day. So take Training Day meets Twilight or any other vampire kind of zombie action flick and mash it together, and that's kind of what you have here. The catch with this is we have stuntman, action choreographer J.J. Perry behind the scenes, helming the camera, and I gotta say that the majority of the action scenes are very competently well shot. It's very wide scoping, interesting, not easy to produce action scenes. But then the rest of this movie is just completely forgettable, unfortunately. I think this is categorized as an action comedy, but we got the action, but everything else, the comedy was very flat for me. Um, I gotta say, I know some of these producers behind the scenes are notable for pretty big films. Chad Stahelski is the one of the directors of John Wick, and I know that this J.J. Perry has actually worked on this as well, on pretty notable films as something like a John Wick or Iron Man or even Avatar, as well as something a little bit more grittier, Gangster Squad and or Django Unchained. You know, he's got his tool bag and his history, his filmography is pretty notable. I mean, he does have some flunkers on there, such as I think he worked on stunts for After Earth and something like Ender's Game, Star Trek Into Darkness. I didn't see Machete Kills, but those three movies I think were kind of not exactly they were not praised, but you know, he has uh, a wide range of different genres that he's worked in. He worked in on that one movie as a fight choreographer in Warrior, that was with the Tom Hardy and the brothers movie. That was a really good movie to kind of uh, you know, call back to. So Day Shift, it's just Training Day meets a Twilight. Um, but throw a little bit of, you know, half baked comedy, and you basically have a kind of a predictable ass Day Shift movie. I think that it's impressive that they were able to do what they were able to do during COVID times, just considering how much action is in this movie. I think the action scenes they kind of fluctuate in value. I think it starts off really strong and then it progressively gets worse and then comes back up again and then gets worse again. So it's like off on, off on. I am seeing a large percentage of people that are liking day shift though. I don't want to put those people in a box and say they don't know what they're talking about. I think there's going to be a subsection of people that probably are not generally critics that are going to have fun with this movie. I think this movie can be probably considered popcorn Netflix action fun. It's something that you don't have to pay 100% attention to, but it's going to kind of deliver in some of the action fronts. Given this is like the third or fourth movie that I've reviewed from Netflix this year, I think this is probably one of the lowest for me personally. I was just not very I wasn't very surprised or maybe not surprised, but it felt very generic in ways that I was like, normally this is not what Netflix goes for. Normally they go a little bit more either extra action or extra dramatic. They kind of go for like the award winning type stuff, but this is way more of the like extraction type action. But I think I liked Extraction a little bit more than this. I watched Spiderhead earlier on Netflix. I think I liked that movie a little bit more than this. I just felt like the script on this was not that strong. Tyler Tyson, Haddon on the screenplay. I haven't heard of them before. Maybe Shay Haddon worked on uh, John Wick Parabellum. That's the third one. Army of the Dead. That was not a great movie. That was one of the worst movies for me on that year. And then Army of Thieves. Okay. Um, okay, I didn't see that one, but I didn't like those movies either. A little bit just tonally off. So I wouldn't say this is tonally off at all. I just say that the characters are so broadly generic and the connecting tissue between them. It just I didn't care about what happened to anybody. And the majority of it felt very predictable in a sense. Now, like I said, are you going to enjoy it? You might still enjoy it despite all of that. Um, I was feeling this sense of like this feels like a really strong, expensive pilot to a vampire killer television show that takes place in California, Hollywood specifically. So I was listen to the music kind of it sounds like that the music's not by someone who I would have thought that has this kind of sound to them. It's by the guy that has worked on Tyler Bates worked on Dawn of the Dead, 300, Halloween 1, 2, Sucker Punch. Ooh. So he's worked a little bit with Zack Snyder, and I thought his stuff sounded in Scott Derrickson, a little bit of Rob Zombie, James Gunn, Neil Marshall. He's collaborated with Chad Stahelski. He's worked with a lot of notable people, and I just didn't understand why it felt like this was like basic TV movie sound and not soundtrack, but just the score of it just did not feel it didn't feel epic at all, and I know it's probably supposed to be way more laid back than that, but it didn't it led to a place of where it didn't feel like anybody was there were no stakes. Sometimes the music really sets you in a way that can be like, "Okay, now this is gonna be epic. This is gonna be the real shit." But this felt very, forgettable films it's a forgettable film score, unfortunately. Um, Anything else we need to discuss? 114-minute runtime. I felt it was even at that, it was still a little bit long. Probably could have trimmed down 10 minutes. And a little bit of a rewrite would have helped me care about these characters just a little bit more, make it a little bit less predictable. At a budget of 100 million, that is pretty damn high, but I guess they do have some bigger names in here. Let me see if there's anything else we needed to kind of discuss. Jamie Foxx basically playing Jamie Foxx. He's not really playing anything that you haven't seen him play in. When he's in an action movie, think of Project Power. That was a pretty big movie 2 years ago at this point. I was a lot more impressed with his performance in in that movie just as overarching caring about the the character's background and storylines. Continuing on, we have Dave Franco basically playing Dave Franco. So these characters are basically playing just like subsections of their own personalities. They're and obviously Snoop Dogg's in this too, but he's basically just playing himself as well. So everyone's just playing a version of themselves. Um, and the character progression just is not pushed forward at all. But that's about all I can say about Day Shift. The action is on par. It's what's the most interesting part about this. The contortioning, the choreography, all of it, the transforming into a vampire was very visceral. Just how you see the bones breaking and you can hear the sounds of it and how it felt like the first scene of them transforming into a vampire was the most visceral, and I wanted a little bit more of that grotesqueness within the film. I felt like there's people we care about or are supposed to care about that are transformed into these monsters or vampires, and there's almost no repercussions for them. It's not even a spoiler to say that. I just feel like I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer as well. You can see basically three-fourths of the movie is marketed to you. So yeah, I was didn't really care about this movie, but then again, it didn't really upset me. Like it didn't actively like piss me off. So it sits at a clean 6 out of 10. I'd be curious to hear what people are digging more about this movie because I've heard maybe two or three reviews now, and most of the people were saying action A plus. Um, some people are more forgiving on the comedy, and they like it a little bit more, or kind of give it a little bit more leeway. They're like, you don't have to pay too much attention to it. So if that's the case, then totally, I'd say this is a great movie to throw on while you're doing laundry or on the treadmill or working out. You don't really have to pay like 210% attention. So you know, Netflix continues the Jamie Foxx business, and I am hearing that this is a lot like the movie Bright, but for other reasons, I just didn't watch the movie Bright. Will Smith didn't exactly look like he was having a good time in that movie, and I like when Will Smith is having a good time in his movies. And so, give or take King Richard, I thought that was, he didn't look like he was having a good time, but he's acted his ass off in it. So like I said, 6 out of 10, Day Shift. Watch it if you don't have anything else to watch. Otherwise, go ahead and check out the top 10 list on lookitoutpodcast.com. Movies, scroll down to the bottom. We have an active list of the top movies we've watched this year. I'm just going to continue to update that as that continues to grow. Top 10 movies. And of course, at the end of the year, we discuss those 10 movies. But if you want to be in the know, go to luckydogpodcast.com, scroll down to the bottom, and check out the uh, top 10 list if you are looking for something to watch. Thank you for listening, watching Luck It Out Podcast. The Day Shift review, again, 6 out of 10. Cinematography is very competent by Toby Oliver. Wasn't crazy about the music. JJ Perry brings some pretty interesting action choreography to it. But the performances are just barely there. And ultimately, I think this movie is going to be forgotten. It didn't, like I said, didn't actively piss me off, but it's probably going to be, on the lower end of my list this year. Thank you for listening, watching Look It All Podcast. Again, go to lookitallpodcast.com, patreon.com/Look It All Podcast to listen to the entire reviews early, listen to the entire library, and you'll be getting this pretty damn fast. I'm about to drop this, what is it, 4 o'clock on a Monday. You'll probably have it in a few hours. So I appreciate everyone that is supporting the Luck Dog podcast. Again, check out all the social media links below, and we are going to discuss the Day Shift plot here momentarily. Let me get a little bit of I was gonna say, let me get a little bit of podcast. I don't know why I said let me get a little bit of popcorn. Let me get a little bit of coffee, and we will begin the Jablonski story. Listen up, all you Jablonskis. Y'all ready for the plot to what is this, day shift? I'm already forgetting the damn name of this this fucking forgettable ass movie. I'm sorry. I saw somebody say that this felt like a stunt reel, like you show this to people that are possibly looking to hire you, and that's exactly what it feels like. The movie has really intricate fighting for the first hour, 10 minutes of it, and then it kind of just falls off a shelf for me. Falls off a cliff, at what is it, just under 2 hours, an hour 50. Probably could have a little bit shorter too, honestly. Okay, so let's discuss the plot. Spoilers for Day Shift for all those people that really give a shit about the Day Shift. I think that's a terrible name. I wonder what the working title was, because I bet it was better than Day Shift. Um, okay, and if I roll my eyes a few times during this movie, sorry, while I'm doing the review, my eyes are super dry. Sorry about that. Here's the plot. Bud Jablansky works as a pool cleaner after seeing a man leaving a nearby house. He silently breaks in and is confronted by two vampires living there, an elderly woman and a younger man. After a lengthy fight, he kills the vampires and extracts their teeth for moolah, aka cash, money. That's how he gets paid. And it's also how you kill the vampires. There's random rules throughout this movie that I might forget, but that's one of them. It is revealed that Bud's real job is a vampire hunter, where he makes a living selling the vampire fangs, with fangs from older vampires called elders being worth more. So I will say there's this a sense of world building that I think is a little bit stronger to this movie than I probably originally gave it credit for. I did I admit I was tired watching this movie and fell asleep about 20 minutes, maybe after the 30 minutes into it, and I had to go back and rewatch it. So I did kind of watch this a little bit out of order, but I don't think that affected my, because I woke up basically right after the second action scene, and I was like, I'm back, baby, and I was like, wow, this movie still is kind of boring, and so rewatched it this morning. So I did watch it a little bit out of order, but like I said, what I did find out going back and rewatching it was a little bit more of the world building that was happening with some of the antagonists and uh, the classification of the vampires. So elders being worth more. Bud tries to sell the teeth to Troy at a pawn shop, but I can't remember his name. What's his face from Fargo and all the other Russian films that he tries to act like a Russian mobster. I forgot his name, but anyways, he's in this. Um, so he plays Troy at the pawn shop, but the prices offered aren't enough to help him with his money troubles. For some reason, like vampire hunting just cost a fuck ton, or he just maybe living in California might be it. I don't know. Just the the opening of this movie, I will say, was pretty was beautiful. I think that the color grading on this movie is very competently well done, and it shows California in all its glory, and the sun hitting it and the blues literally popping off the screen. I honestly really enjoyed the look of this movie. Um, but not enough to, bump up my rating or anything like that. So Bud has money troubles. Bud badly needs the money because his ex-wife is planning to move to Florida with his daughter due to her private school fees are too high. I'm sure private school fees in California are probably 60 grand minimum or something like that. Like it's expensive to put a kid in private school no matter where you're at. So I could see how that would be an issue. Anyways, maybe considering moving out of California, but I don't know, his ex-wife's there or something like that. I don't know. Bud badly needs the money because his ex-wife is planning to move to Florida with his wife due to her private school fees are too high to pay the tuition and also to fund braces for his daughter, which add braces, private school, dude, you're gonna go in debt to a loan shark having to fucking pay for all that shit. At least you'll be smart and have beautiful teeth. um, your ass gonna be broke and paying a damn mortgage on it on that shit. Bud is forced to go back to the vampire hunting union. He had previously been kicked out of it because he of his risky and aggressive hunting style that was that was contravened many of the union's protocols. Which he's the guy that's willing to do the things that everyone else isn't willing to do, but that's also going to cost him his job. So, with the help of his friend John Elliott, who is well respected within the union, Bud and John Elliott is played by a cowboy, right? A cowboy esque Snoop Dogg, Snoop Deal Double G. So Snoop Dogg's basically gonna vouch for him to get back into the academy or whatever. Bud gets another chance at union work under strict conditions. He is forced to only work the day shift, which does not pay as well. And he must be supervised by union rep Seth, who is played by Dave Franco, and he is tasked to look after Bud, Jamie Foxx's character, and report any, I'm talking any violations committed by Bud. And I'll tell you that almost happens never in this movie. I I don't think that Dave Franco does a single ounce of his job except just announcing random world building aspects of the world. I don't think he reports any of the shit that Bud's doing. So, meanwhile, a female vampire, Audrey, finds the vampires that Bud killed and mourns the death of the older one. And Audrey is the basically the antagonist that's going to be following all of Bud's everywhere Bud has been, and eventually meeting up with them at the very end and having his kids under, having his ex-wife and his kid like hostage. So, in her search for Bud, she finds and tortures, interrogates, and kills the punch. It feels like that is that goes for the par of every time Troy is on. What is fucking Troy's name? All right, I'm gonna find his fucking name. I forget. Don't you? Hold on. Give me 30 seconds. I'm gonna hear his name and be like, "Oh yeah." Peter Stormare. Yeah, I told you I was going to say that. So, Peter Stormare, of course, just like in about 90% of the movies he's in, he is he's tortured, interrogated, and killed by the pawn shop owner. Or killed he is the pawn shop owner, but he's killed by Audrey. And she reveals that humans used to worship vampires as gods before humans turned on them, and that she has plans to recreate the old god, quote unquote, worship hierarchy. Meanwhile, whatever that means, I don't even know if that's established. I don't remember. Meanwhile, Bud goes around killing vampires with Seth to earn the money he needs, despite violating several protocols. Seth does not report Bud after learning of his aim to support his family with his earnings. And it feels like he could have probably got a lot of his earnings after the second kill that he gets with these Nazarin brothers or whatever the hell. Um, so after Bud finds and destroys an unusual nest of vampires that these vampires normally wouldn't hang out, but for some reason that Dave Franco says they're hanging out. Something's weird, man. It's like, okay, in a world that's full of vampires. Um, Audrey contacts Bud and threatens his family, revealing that the old vampire was her daughter. Bum, bum, bum. Which was the lady that was doing some like crazy uh choreographed legs over the head. I think there's like contortionists shown in every single one of these fights, and they show it really cool, but it's almost too much. It reminds me how Jordan Peele liked to slow down music to signal something bad was going to happen in a movie, and Nope. And so it feels like they're like, all right, we got to show them that these vampires are not only vampires, but they can contort their ass. It's like, okay. But I never feel like the vampires do anything that bad to the main characters, or we're not exactly sure what they do except for turning them, which okay, but contorting didn't really seem like it mattered that much, but whatever. Um, it was more like when they were attacking or being attacked and thrown against a wall, and legs would fly over, like a damn cartoon would fly over their head. Anyways, um, Bud rushes to his ex-wife to save her while being pursued by vampires. He fails to get there in time, and his family is taken hostage. I also got to say, I think one of the German guys from Dark is one of the evil vampires too. I wish he would have got a better role to do. He's a great actor. Plays like Mikkel or something in Dark. So he fails to get there in time. His family's taken hostage. Seth gets transformed into a vampire, and like he's completely fine. Essentially, he just uh, I think he attacks Jamie Foxx once and then just kind of decides not to. Bud now has to rescue his family and stop Audrey's plans. Seth and Bud's neighbor Heather help Bud attack Audrey's stronghold, where they are joined by John. And Bud's neighbor feels like an inconsequential character to this entire thing. Write her out, and it wouldn't have mattered. It's just kind of like she's there for no reason, in my opinion. Like her character did. It's not like the actress did a bad job or anything. I just felt like the character could have been taken out same movie. Midway through the fight, John gets bitten, and it eventually sacrifices himself so that Bud can go save his family. And it's one of those unnecessary sacrifices. We just saw this in The Gray Man, how unnecessary that sacrifice. One of the characters wasn't there. You know how there's this when our heroes are on a journey and they stop by someone random's house, or if they stop by someone that's not, that wants to help them along the way, they always have to sacrifice themselves. This is what happens here. And while Snoop Dogg's going down, runs out of bullets, smokes his uh, his blunt, and then he throws up West Side for life or something like that, and blows up. And I feel like he doesn't even blow up in the vicinity of any of the vampires, so it almost didn't even have to happen. But again, if you watch the end, you find out he didn't actually sacrifice himself. He's just like, I guess, faked his death or something like that. But anyways, he's just a West Side for life, yo. And I was, I was like, okay, we're just, I guess, it was the most. It just is the most ridiculous thing. I don't know why. I find it so funny. I guess being in North Carolina, it's like what does that even mean? It's like we're not throwing up East Side or something like that. It's not the first thing I would have ever thought about saying um when going down like this. It's not like the vampires are like East Side or something. The Bloods. What I think, I don't know what the gangs are. Isn't Snoop Dogg a Crip or something like that? And so he doesn't like the Bloods. It's like, is that what the vampires are? The Bloods in this scenario? I don't know what's going on. I have so many questions. It's like that's not what I would have said in there, but I guarantee you, Snoop Dogg had other lines, and they're like, "Well, what if I said West Side for life? That's kind of dope." It's like, all right, I'm whatever at this point. It just kept going and going to the ridiculous state. I was like, I was just like, can we just stop the ride? Can we just stop this ride? so so he hit up the West Side for life and basically fake suicides himself to a bunch of vampires that didn't even look like they were close to him. Corey Coleman on Double Toasted had pointed out in slow motion how all of the explosions in this movie look absolutely god awful, straight out of After Effects 2002, just terrible. Um, and it is $100 million movie. Like this costs as much as Watchmen did in 2009. I always go back to Watchmen 2009 because of how impressed I was uh by practical and CGI in that movie. And it was like $100 million. That's what I always kind of wind my head back to. But anyways, I was like, this is ridiculous. West Side for life, whatever was going on. But I ironically liked Snoop Dogg in this movie. I think he was one of the stronger aspects about it. So when I'm kind of giving this movie a little bit of grief and shit about it and how kind of stupid and ridiculous it can be at times, Snoop Dogg was one of the more interesting parts about it because I like Jamie Foxx. I like him in Django Unchained. I like him in Ray. I like him in a lot of the movies he's in. You know, there's ton. He's really good. This movie does not write him well, and his comedy is not up to par. So Bud is no match for Audrey, but manages to trick her during the fight and saves his family. Hits him with that same thing that he hits the elder lady or her daughter with. Um, the older vampire at the beginning of the movie hits him with that shing. It got like this metal wire that these vampires just run super fast and just don't see the strings, like slices off their head. um, I was predicting at the beginning of the movie that he keeps punching this dice, and he does have a cool car. I like his little like hatchback pickup truck thing going on, whatever the hell. It's not a hatchback, it's a pickup truck. Um, with pretty cool tires. But when they're doing that chase scene with his daughter in the side, he shoots out every single one of his tires to get through this tiny little tunnel because this other person behind them can't get through. And I was like, dude, didn't you just say you don't have money and you're shooting these tires that easily cost 300 a pop, and now you can't even use your freaking truck? I was I was like, all right, at this point, the money troubles don't even matter at this point. He's just making stupid decisions. There's like the rule of cool, just shoot the tires and roll. That I guess that works. Whatever. Um, so, anyways, he leans back on the first act of using the wire. She goes through, head slices off. He removes the head, takes the teeth out. Once the teeth are out, you're done. Um, and you know, day saved. Saves the family. Also, this little Aztec-y looking like realm that they have under this California warehouse is about as random as it gets, and it looks extremely cheap. I was like, this fighting is so cool, but it would be a lot cooler if it didn't look like they were in like a Carowin, a Paramount theme park. You know, Carowinds is our theme park near that it used to be owned by Paramount, and so that's why Disney World or whatever your go to Busch Gardens, you go to Six Flags. It just looked like they were going to like a ride the whole time. Something about the look of it just cheap, looked very cheap. So later, Seth helps Bud stay in the Union by citing protocol to justify his actions, as the Jablonski family. Sorry, to justify his actions. He literally hits him with a actually code 34 ball. Yelling at the angry police chief, yelling at both of them, Jablonski. Franco, how can you do all this? How are you going to do me like this and make a big mess of everything? And it's kind of like that angry police chief, similar Joey Pants style from like Bad Boys or something, but not nearly as written as funny. Um, and they just kind of go back and forth with this terrible banter of like, do you know how much destruction you've caused? And it's like, actually, Franco's like, actually, boss, Rule 34 says, Section 8 is we can fuck shit up. And he's like, well, shit, I don't know what to say about that. But it feels like it takes like 10 minutes back and forth, this banter. I was like, can we stop the ride? um, so as the Jablonski family drives away, John John Snoop Dogg Elliott climbs out of the sewer manhole, showing that he survived the fight. And that, my friends, is Day Shift 2022. I don't even know why we spent so much time on it, but we did. And then, I'm curious what everyone else thought about the movie. I know that it did get some more positive reception. Some people were saying they like the comedy. Sometimes it really worked for them. I want to go to Twitter to see what people are saying on there. Jablonski, Day Shift. Oh, I bet that's going to be. I wonder if that's going to be hard to find, or if everyone's talking about going to their job. Okay, let's see. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Oh, Day Shift starring Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, Snoop Dogg has a truly cringy Lost Boys homage moment at the ending said by Snoop Dogg. That was at Zach Bowers. I haven't seen Lost Boys ever. I've only seen clips of it, so I need to go back and kind of maybe see if I missed anything about these homages. A lot of vampire stuff I haven't watched, to be honest. Like isn't Nosferatu Dracula vampire-ish? Is that the same thing? He's a vampire, and I haven't watched Nosferatu. Seen like one Twilight. uh, I saw that one with Simon Pegg, that the world's end. Was that a vampire or was that aliens? I'm pretty sure one of them's vampires. He's in. Um, yes, like another person here says, Nikki G at Gloop Mommy on Twitter says hashtag Day Ship was fire. I hope they make a sequel. I think we'll probably get a sequel to this. We were supposed to get a sequel to Bright, and then all of the Will Smith stuff happened, and I'm pretty sure they put that on indefinite hold. I'm not sure if he got that back yet. Let me see if anything else. At Molly Flanagan, another reminder to watch my dear talented friend Netflix scary movie Day Shift. A little bit of her stuff here. Oh, it looks like this is one of the friends that was the. She must be friends with the lady that played the older vampire at the beginning. She was truly impressive. Um, let's see. So people talking day shift at their job. Let's see. Day Shift is the most fun I've had with a vampire movie in a long time. Does a lot to the world building and clearly sets up a sequel. That's at Alex Crossfader. See, there's a lot of people that are saying that they enjoyed this movie, which I sometimes feel like I have blind spots. Oh, all right. This guy's crazy. At HDTV Gaming underscore on Twitter says Day Shift is a 9 out of 10. Are you crazy? I feared this movie to be like another typical vampire slaying kind of movie, but the approach of the action and choreography that went into this movie is a must watch again. With Snoop Dogg ending the movie in LA the way he should. This dude really liked it. Let me see if anything else. I just watched the movie Day Shift with Jamie Foxx. It was pretty good. See, people are really enjoying this. I'm seeing way more positive feedback on this than I am like negative right here. Bro, I saw this in Day Shift movie and I was like, damn. That was at Victory Brown. I wonder if that's a good one. Let me see. See, a lot of Twitter feedback is saying it's good. At XOBMR underscore says her name's Brianna. Brianna says Day Shift on Netflix is good. Y'all watch it. So maybe I'm in the minority of people that don't like it. Maybe the minority is a smaller minority. I thought more people were like this ain't that great, but unless my expectations were too high, which I did not have high expectations at all. Um, let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll through a little more. Yeah, hashtag day shift was a little 10 out of 10. Day shift is delightfully ridiculous, which is to say highly enjoyable. Snoop is epic. Matt J. Roberts, Day Shift crazy as hell. Why is Dave Franco pissing his pants? Yeah, what the hell was Dave Franco pissing his pants all the time? Reminds me of Super Bad. Now that came up like so many times. That came up as a run on or a joke as well. It's like that's a weird joke to continue. Um, yeah, at Carla Souza, I believe, isn't she the? I think Carla Souza was the antagonist in this, and she's pretty well renowned in Mexico, I heard, or at least in the Latin community. Damn, action horror comedy, fast paced. Netflix got it on spot. Hashtag day shift. Damn, people like this shit. I don't want to be like a hater or anything like that. Like, damn, you like it all these movies, but I'm more surprised about it. Let me see if anything else. Uh, Anybody wants to film to watch a good one called Day Shift on Netflix, Jamie Foxx Vampire Hunter. It's actually good. At Shawnee 1995. Wow. I see way more people saying that they like this movie on Twitter than I was expecting, which I'm glad. I'm glad people are enjoying it. This for me, I guess, is just not one of my fortes and what I'm liking. Yeah, highly recommend on there. Let me see. They're saying they need more of these two brothers that are in there. I like seeing them in there. Um, the one guy from Shameless and whatnot. Let me see if there's anything else. Snoop Dogg kicking ass in Day Shift. Uh, yeah, people are really enjoying this, and I'm glad. Like I said, I like when people enjoy things. I understand I might be in the minority on this one, but yeah, let me know what you thought about Day Shift. Let me know what you liked about it. Be specific. Don't just say I liked it. I like hearing some specifics and details on that. So, thank you for listening, watching Look It All podcast. Again, this is a 6 out of 10 Day Shift 2022, directed by JJ Perry. Thank you for watching. Check out lookitoutpodcast.com. Check out patreon.com/lookitoutpodcast for the entire podcast, entire library. Get it early. Check the links in the description for everything you need to know for donations and thumbs up subscriptions on YouTube, SoundCloud, on your favorite podcast provider. Thank you for listening, watching Look It Out Podcast. Take it easy. I can't really think of a memorable line from this. California love.